Hello, lovely Jennifer. It's so lovely to be chatting to you today. And how are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, good. I'm good. Well, I've got all the doors and windows open now that it's spring. So there's just something, I think it's given me a bit more energy and a zest for life. Uh, so I thought that it might be rather interesting to hear a little bit about your women in property chair role journey so far. And so, first of all, how are you enjoying it?
It's been a whirlwind 2 months. I can't believe it. The 2 months in. It's been very exciting. Already visited a few of the regions so far, which has been amazing, seeing some of the fantastic work that the other branches across England, Wales, and Scotland are doing. I've also crept on with my A to Z of unlocking potential.
Well, I want to ask a bit more about that actually. Um, so you've got a theme. Each chair, when they come in, has a theme for the year. And just share what's your theme for the year?
So, as you say, every chair has a theme, and I picked unlocking potential, changing mindsets.
Beautiful. What was your reason? So, how's it going? What was your reason for picking that particular theme?
So, I've been involved in women in property for 17 years since I was a graduate. Unlocking potential that could be connected to many things that I've been involved in over the years. We have a student abroad program, which is unlocking potential second year students at university. We have a really significant, unique mentoring program, mentoring, unlocking potential. Another key area that I'm working on this year is our outreach program, going into schools, connecting with teenagers between 12 and 15 to really promote careers in property and construction that they may have not heard about before. So again, it's a really nice unlocking potential, changing mindsets really nicely links all those key themes for me.
Mm. And how are you communicating the A to Z of unlocking potential? How's that going out into the world and into the community?
So the A to Z is exactly what it says on the tin. There's 52 weeks in the year, 26 letters of the alphabet. So every 2 weeks, I've picked a letter, A through to Z, and picked a word that starts with the letter, picks a definition that sums up exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
A quote from maybe a famous person or someone in history that really captures what the word means to me. And then a little quote that I've come up with that again just sort of brings it all together.
Mm.
And I've been communicating that through the women property channels on Instagram, LinkedIn, and X, formerly Twitter. And as part of that, have run little polls to get people's reactions to the word. So the first letter was awareness, and that was
Mm.
all about being self-aware.
Mm.
And it was hoping that people just take a step back, have a think about actually, the more you know about yourself and the more that you are self-aware, the more you can actually learn about how you communicate with other people, how you communicate better with other people, and also where your development points may be. So,
Mm.
as you can see, it's all about transferable skills rather than purely technical skills, how I can do my day to day job technically. It's
Mm.
all those really transferable skills that we need to do our day to day jobs better.
Mm. Mm. Brilliant. And I guess with that, it's um, so helpful for people if they just follow each of the letters that you've done, because if they can catch up as well with each of the letters that you've done so far.
Yeah.
What have you done? What letter are we up to so far?
So, we've done A for awareness, B for brave, C for confidence, and D for dialogue. E comes out tomorrow, and that's for engaged. We're
Lovely.
5 letters in.
Brilliant. And people can catch up on the 5 letters. And actually, it sounds to me like it's a mini, so far it can be a mini as light a touch or as deep as dive as people want to into what is our own internal skill set, our own mindset.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. What do you hope people will get from the A to Z of unlocking potential?
I think you pick up a really interesting point that you can actually dip in and out of the letters. So I've got a relatively good following that I know that are reviewing my posts when they come out. But even if it takes one thing to actually make someone think about what they're doing, or maybe an experience they had even that day or last year, or in the future, they actually stop and think actually that's what I'm going to do differently. And that to me has made a difference.
I remember in one of our conversations, I don't know, in the last few weeks, you were sharing with me about a particular discipline which has been so invaluable to you, which is reflection, and that you were going through a mentoring program where reflecting was a key part of your growth. Can you just share a little bit more about the value of reflecting?
Yeah, of course. I think mentoring's always been a massive part of my life as a mentee or mentor. Particular experience around the reflection point was when I was doing my chartership for my RTPI. And as part of that, you actually would write a logbook over a couple of years, but it wasn't just factual, like what you'd actually done and what skills you'd actually gained. There was a column at the end that actually was your reflection. So you then have to think about what you'd done, what you could improve on, how you could develop, what you thought had gone well. But through the 2-year period, what was the point of it was you could actually 6 months in advance, you could then look back 6 months and you could see a similar task you might have done, but actually you can see how you've improved. And over the 2-year period, you can see exactly how much you progress in your career. Now, that at the time, it's like massively, I think, because you're so hung up with doing the chartership and doing the assignments, you don't think actually how valuable that is. But I think later on in your career, when maybe you're feeling that maybe you've not progressed as much as you wanted to, or you're feeling a bit stuck, actually taking a step back and thinking about where you were even 6 months ago, you will have improved.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that is that sort of seed that anything actually that motivates you to make small changes. And sometimes it's those, lots and lots of small changes. It's not the massive goals. So the reflective piece is really important. And I think when I'm mentoring people of any age now, I do go back to that and say, if you are feeling stuck, try and do that reflective process.
Because we do have, as humans, a tendency to be really hard on ourselves, which isn't a great energy for overcoming problems or moving through challenges or doing something inspiring if we're giving ourselves a hard time. And I think reflecting on who you are, what you've done, what you've achieved, what people have said about you to you, what testimonials you've had, what recommendations on LinkedIn that you've had, the promotions that you've had, the things that you know today that you didn't know a year ago. When you see all those together in like a reflections unit, it can give you the energy or the belief that you need to see yourself in a positive way and then move forward with great. When I say energy, that's I mean that with your conscious mind and your unconscious mind and your body all moving positively forward. Who in your women in property experience has, if you feel comfortable saying this, inspired you the most? And it might be a small thing that they've done or one sentence that they've said, but somebody that has unlocked, and what was it that has unlocked your potential?
The most obvious one is actually through the mentoring program, and this must have been about 10 years ago, but a lady, Julie Fawcett, that you know as well. She was just a massive influence to me at a particular period of time in my life where I'd actually just gone through my taskship a couple of years before, and I think it was exactly that. I had to stop reflecting, and I had even been promoted a couple of times, but that I'd just stopped reflecting there, and actually that had caused me just so much angst in terms of actually how good am I at this particular moment in time. And Julie was really instrumental in actually making me take that step back, review where I've got to, review my potential, and I'm not saying this is right for everybody, but actually it was right for me to slightly make a pivotal move and actually look into a different sector, actually learn some completely new skills. I'd worked in planning consultancy for a number of years. Just after the crash, it had all got, there was lots and lots of work on. I'd got a lot of experience, but it wasn't quite what I was after. And an opportunity came up, which I don't think I ever would have taken. And by doing that exercise with Julie, I think that really helped me over a period of time. And I took a leap of faith and joined a house building business and actually learned a completely new skill set in acquiring land. And 10 years later, that's a sector I'm still in. I'm really enjoying it. And actually, I think that was, a real pivotal time for me.
I think that's so good, because so often we think we have to do everything ourselves in our own mind. And then what you get from a coach or a mentor is space to actually think about, what are my thoughts? What are my beliefs? What do I truly want? Not what have I decided for myself 10 years ago, and that I'm going to keep forcing myself down that path, but just a real review of, where is my thinking at? Because the truth is, whatever you are thinking, consciously or unconsciously, you are going in that direction. So it's really good to kind of empty that out in a really safe space with somebody who's just going to hold the space for you as you go through your own cycle of thinking, and for you to then understand, those thoughts are why I'm uncomfortable, or those thoughts are why I'm more inspired in that direction. So the value of it is remarkable, really, isn't it?
I think it's that reflective approach as well, and actually highlighting the blind spots that maybe you've not seen. And then you can bring those into your thought processes as well, but actually getting that real constructive feedback, which you do often need to truly move forward and unlock the true potential that everybody has.
What would you like your legacy to be when you're handing over your Women in Property Chair crown onto the forehead of the next person? What would you have liked your legacy to have been?
I mean, touching upon the 3 items that my theme really links into, I think particularly encouraging young people into an industry that I have learnt a lot from, and actually knowing the routes and ways and means to connect with people that actually can help them unlock their potential that they might not necessarily know that they've got in an area which they may have not really understood, that you could go into certain professions within certain industries. So I think that's definitely my legacy, to ensure that I've managed to speak to as many people, or managed to improve people's outlooks.
Of what's possible for them.
And what's possible for them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Improve their outlooks of what's possible for them because other people are doing it. And and also I think that one of the hardest questions I think for people to answer is, can you guess what it is?
Should I know?
No, I don't know that you should know, actually.
No, I don't know. You tell me.
When I say it, everybody will be like, oh, yes. It is the hardest question people find to answer is, what do you want?
Yeah.
And my view on that is because we're so used to thinking we have to choose from a menu in life, like jobs in a company that we're choosing
Yeah.
from those jobs, or we're going to a restaurant, we're choosing from a menu in a restaurant,
Mhm.
or we're going to the dentist and the dentist has got a menu. We think that going to the supermarket, you can only buy what's on the shelves, that we're so conditioned to, well, we can only have what we see is available. And so we get
Mhm.
so used to looking to see, well, what is there rather than what do I want? So the reflexive question of, well, what do I want often is completely bypassed with people choosing what is there. Does that make sense?
Or what other people have influenced, whether
Yes,
that be parents or upbringing or early school years, and being put off by different things because someone else had that perception, and that's not your perception.
absolutely. And I think that people find it easier. So 9 times out of 10, when I ask somebody what they want, they start telling me what isn't good in their life or that they don't want,
Mhm.
which often is, if that's our starting point, then that's our starting point.
Mhm.
So yeah, so the question, what do you want, is the hardest question for people to answer. And I think that what you're doing so beautifully is helping people look more into themselves with your A to Z, with your theme of unlocking potential of what's in me that I need to match up externally rather than do I want that without checking in with, is this, if I could have anything, what would that be? And so I think your A to Z is a brilliant guide for people to self-explore and to align with a way of being and thinking that will support them in their career and their life. So I think it's amazing. Yeah. So what would one bit of wisdom in closing, what would be one bit of wisdom that you would say to anybody, regardless if they're women, regardless if they're in property, regardless if they're even working? What's one bit of wisdom that you would share?
Connect with people, like-minded people, and
Mm,
build a network of those like-minded people,
mm,
because that's where those opportunities arise. And this is so transferable to any industry.
mm.
And this is something that has helped me hugely, and particularly to young people, I think. But again, you can do this at any stage of your career or your life. The more people that you connect with, the more opportunities that will arise.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't be afraid to connect.
And
Amazing.
build
And build
your network.
your network and
Mhm.
your confidence.
And your confidence.
Mm,
And
mm.
the outcome.
And so for anybody that's listening and maybe new to networking or feeling less confident about it or comfortable with it, there's a good reason for that, because when you were little, our parents said, do not talk to strangers. And then
Absolutely.
and then you go out into the business world and your job is to talk to strangers and make friends with them. And so there will, if there is that feeling of resistance in you when you hear that, just know that's where it comes from. And that most people networking are feeling the same way you're, or at least at some point felt the same way you're feeling, and will look out for people in the room that want someone that are alone and can come and talk to them. I'm always, when I'm networking and I see someone on their own, I always like open my shoulder and say, oh, do you want to come and join us? And there's those people are in your, I know women in property, and I know those people are in your groups.
Absolutely. We're just so inclusive from that respect. I mean, gone are the days, everyone always thinks our events are really friendly and welcoming. And lots of people turn up by themselves and they will be welcomed and they will come again and again. Because
Even
exactly that,
men.
even
I
men,
mean, I have to say to the men, what is it that's attracting you to the women in property group?
because we're friendly and
Inclusive.
we include people. It's, and we will take on people's different points of view.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I've noticed is it isn't exclusively for women in property, but it supports women in property. And I love it when I see the men in the room that are part of that progress.
I think male allies are so massively important, and that's another thing that I'm really trying to concentrate on this year. That whilst the membership is still open just for women, because there is still work to do there, and the uniqueness of the mentoring program and actually matching female to female is still really necessary. Male allies is just so important because it's that real understanding, particularly mid-manager and senior men in the industry, that really understand the challenges that maybe women come up against, and actually that creates a lot more of an inclusive environment. So that's what we're doing across all the women in property branches this year, is actually supporting our male allies. And so look out for events that our allies can come for free and really learn and spend time with us.
Amazing. Well, Jennifer, I think we should have another update in the next quarter, the end of the next quarter, of how it's all going. But for now, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your leadership in women in property. And it's been lovely talking to you.
You're very welcome. Likewise.